everyone. Good morning. I'm T.Erol. I teach science grade 5 and grade 6. Welcome to Anuban P. Bunwes School channel. First, we study Unit 1. Learn like a scientist. In Unit 1, we have the lesson as the scientific process. In scientific process, we start the question, what is science? Do you know the answer? I give you time to think. What is science? Ready? Science is the study of all things around us. Meaning to say, we study the things around us by using step-by-step action to find answer to what we want to know. First, I give an example. We have animals. In this animal, we have steps. I give you step 1, step 2, and step 3. In step 1, we have the question, what kind of animal? There are 3 types: pet animals, farm animals, or wild animals. Step 2, we inquire the question, where does it live? We got 2 answers. Is it in the land or water? Step 3, we have, what does it eat? There are 3 types. Does it eat meat, plants, or both? Meat and plants. Next one, in this type, we get scientific process. In scientific process, there are 3 main parts. The first one, scientific method. Second, science process skills. And the last one, scientific mind. Meaning to say, it's all in our mind. But first, let's go to number 1. What is scientific method? Anyone? Scientific method is a way to learn science using step by step. It depends on step 1, step 2, and step 3. It depends the result if you gather the result, the right result. There are 5 steps in this method. First, ask a question. That's the first basic step. When you want to inquire something, you have to have a question. The first step, we ask questions. Identify problems from observing things around us. We should observe carefully, using all 5 senses. Now, what are the 5 senses? We have touch, smell, see, hear, and feel. We use these 5 senses carefully. Second step, make a hypothesis. In making a hypothesis, we guess the answers to our questions. We think and we think and we think. We guess from what we already know. Step 3, we gather informations. In gathering informations, we find answers to our questions. This is prior to the second step, making a hypothesis. We observe more, we explore more. Of course, we do experiments because this is science. We create models, that's a very basic one, and we gather information from this model, and then write down the data we get. In step 4, we study the information we gathered from using the step 1, step 2, and step 3. We gather all the informations and come up with the one great idea and the summary. In this step, we describe the information we got or try to explain the meaning of the results we got. Last step, number 5, draw a conclusion. In this step, we make a summary of all the information and results. Check if they match the hypothesis we made. In the hypothesis in step 2, this is what we think of the questions we guess. And in the conclusion, we checked whether the conclusion matched the hypothesis that we got from step 2. Okay? Are you still with me? Next. Example. The use of scientific method. There are 5 steps. Okay? Let me read this one. Kang and his friends want to know the best type of soil to grow Chinese kale. Together as a group, they use the scientific method to find the answers as shown. We go to step 1. They identified the problem. What type of soil can grow Chinese kale best? Remember, we use 3 soils. We have sandy soil, loam soil, and clay soil. Those are the 3 possible soils we use. In step 2, they made hypotheses. Meaning to say, they have to guess the answer. They have to come up with an idea. So they think Chinese kale grows better in loam soil than clay and sandy soil. That is their hypothesis. They choose loam soil. Next, step 3. They gathered information. Let me read. Kang and his friends did an experiment to gather information. That is the first one. They planted Chinese kale seeds in 3 pots. Remember, 3 pots and 3 kinds of soil. Each pot had a different soil. Clay in pot 1, loam in pot 2, and sandy soil in pot 3. They watered each pot equally and wrote down how they grow for 25 days. It takes longer period of time to get the maximum result of each plant and each seed they put in. They say, the Chinese kale in pot 2, which is loam soil, is taller than the ones in pot 1 and pot 3. Meaning to say, in pot 1, they got clay soil. Pot 2, loam soil, and pot 3, sandy soil. In loam soil, Chinese kale grows taller and better, as you can see in the picture. Next, we move to the step 4 and step 5. In step 4, they studied the information they gathered from step 1, step 2, and step 3. They all formulate the idea. They say, I read on the internet that Chinese kale is a vegetable that grows well in loam soil. They search the internet and they come up with idea. We saw from our experiment that Chinese kale in loam soil is taller than others in clay soil and sandy soil, which is true from their experiment. Step 5, they made a conclusion. Finally, they got the result from their hypothesis, and this is the conclusion. Loam soil is the best soil for growing Chinese kale. Remember, they used 25 days in each kind of pot and each kind of soil. Next, let's go to number 2, science process skills. In science process skills are tools that scientists use to search for knowledge, answer questions, and solve problems. We are now in number 2. Remember, in number 1, scientific method. Number 2, science process skills. In science process skills, there are 14 skills that are sorted into 2 groups. Remember, 14, they got up into 2 groups. Let's try this. Look at the picture and fill in the blanks using a science process skills. First, Nont uses a magnifying glass to study the petal of a rose. Can you see the picture? What is Nont doing? Can you guess the answer? Okay. Nont is correct. Nont is observing the rose. Why? Nont is using a magnifying glass, meaning to say you observe something out of the glass. Second picture, Kang uses a ruler to find the height of an eggplant in his backyard. Look at the picture. What is Kang doing? Correct. Kang is measuring the height of the eggplant. Third picture. The sky turned dark, so Kausai thought that it could rain. Kausai is only guessing. He's making hypothesis. He's not doing the conclusion. Kausai was predicting that it could rain. Why? Because of the surroundings, because the sky turned dark. I mean to say it will rain, but it's only a prediction. The 8 basic science process skills are, we have number 1, observing, measuring, using space-time relationships, inferring, using numbers, predicting, organizing data and communicating, and last one, classifying. The next one, the 6 integrated science process skills. We have identifying and controlling variables, experimenting. This is the very basic and very common. We have to experiment when we talk about science. Formulating hypotheses, we guess the answer. Modeling. Modeling is very much important in science because you have to come up with a physical idea from the hypothesis. Defining operationally and interpreting data and making conclusions. In the first one, organizing and communicating. You organize your thought and you communicate. First one, Mike organized this idea for easy understanding. The first that Mike did is he summarized the 3 types of consumers in food chain. The first one, herbivores. What kind of animals does herbivores? Eggplant, elephants, cows, and horses. These 3 animals, they eat plants, so they are called herbivores. Second one, carnivores. This type of animals, they eat only one type of food, meat. They are lions, tigers, and falcons. Type 3, omnivores. This is the combination of the 2. Meaning to say, these kind of animals, they eat 2, plants and meat. We have chickens, cats, and dogs. Number 2, modeling. This is very important in studying science because you have to create a model from the topic and the information we gathered from the hypothesis. For example, a model of an aquatic ecosystem, a model of frog skeleton, a model of a butterfly life cycle, and lastly, a model of volcanic eruption. Next, number 3, using space-time relationship. For example, at 6 a.m., the sun rises in the east. After 6 hours, the sun changes its position. It is now right above the James house at 12 noon. Can you see the space and time relationship? From 6 a.m., from east going to west to noon, 12 noon time. Number 3, we go to scientific mind. In scientific mind, we have the traits of a person who studies science through scientific process. In scientific mind, a person studying science should have careful, eager to learn, honest, very patient. Because why patient? Because you have to wait from the results longer period of time. Responsible, reasonable, meaning to say you use your reasons, you come up with critical idea. You're very curious. Yes, that's correct. Work with others. This is kind of a group work. Kind and open-minded. These are the scientific minds that a scientist should possess. Let's try this. Look at the picture and fill in the blanks using the science process skills. We have the students inside gathering. Ploy said, "Let us make a plan." The students were Kang, Tom, May, Non, and Kausai. Question number 1. Who has a scientific mind? Can you guess the answer? Correct. There are Ploy, Keng, May, and Kausai. Question: why? Why do they have scientific mind? Because they pay attention and work together. They work together as a team. Question number 2. Who does not have scientific mind? Can you guess the answer? Yes, they are Tom and Nan. The question is why? Because they do not pay attention. They don't like to work as a group. Third question: what are the traits of a person with scientific mind? Meaning to say, the number 3 question is asking what Ploy, Keng, May, and Kausai have. Because they are disciplined and eager to learn. Disciplined in the sense that they want to listen and they work as a group and they eager to learn. They want to learn something. In characteristics of a person with scientific mind, we have examples. Number 1, being eager to learn. Meaning to say, you're curious. You want to learn something. Number 2, being curious. You look for something that you still don't know. So you're curious. You want to learn something. 3, being open-minded. You have to gather as a group and come up with an idea and you accept the ideas. 4, being able to work with others. When say you should be flexible with your friends. Whatever they say and with whatever they suggest with the group, you have to come and accept it. 5, we have being willing to share knowledge with others. This is in a kind of, you have to share your ideas with others and you gather information from different members. And 6, being responsible. This is a kind of must-have kind of attitude for every student in learning science. Knowledge summary. This is the conclusion of all the 3: scientific method, science process skills, and scientific mind. In scientific process, the first one is scientific mind. We got 5. Ask a question, make hypothesis, gather information, study the information, and draw a conclusion. Second, the scientific process skills learned at this level, we have organizing data and communicating, finding the space-time relationship, and the last one, modeling. 3, scientific mind. The scientific mind is the trace of a person that is gathered by studying science through a scientific process. A person with scientific mind is careful, eager to learn, honest, patient, responsible, curious, works well with others, kind, and open-minded. I hope you understand the 3. Till next time, thank you and bye-bye.